Hey, welcome, guys. We're going to get started in just a minute. If you could, just let me know if you could hear me. Can you hear me speak? Just type in the chat box. Yes, I could hear you. No, I can't hear you. Let me know where you're calling from, what sport you played, what the weather's like where you're at. Okay, we got Megan in Minnesota, plays tennis. We have Renz from JMU, Matt from Butler, plays lacrosse. All right, they're coming in. The audience is alive. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Guys, my name is Ryan Drummond, and I'm presenting today a webinar on athletes land jobs, the 5 keys for college athletes landing an awesome job. And who is this for? So this webinar is for college athletes who are about to graduate and do not have a job lined up. Also for any former college athletes that did land a job but hate what they do and they want to make a change. Or maybe former college athletes that have not yet landed a job, not really sure what they're looking for. This is a great place for you to be today. And of course, parents of college athletes who care about the next stage of their son or daughter's lives. This is a good spot for you to be. So listen, in the next 45 minutes, we are going to cover how to leverage your college athlete status to land a job, how you could set up your LinkedIn profile to attract campus recruiters and alumni athletes that can connect you to employment opportunities. We're also going to talk a little bit about my favorite web tools that you can use to boost your job search. And we're going to start off the presentation talking about shifting your mindset to gain optimal career trajectory. And what you can do to avoid the dangerous mistakes that too many college athletes face after graduation. And lastly, I just want to congratulate you guys. Just by deciding to be a part of this webinar, you made a decision to have a bright future. You took one step in the right direction. It can be really confusing when you graduate and you no longer are playing a college sport and you are just really in a whole new world. So having some guidance and figuring out what you should be doing is a really good start. So congratulations for being here. We're going to go over a lot of stuff today, more so than you'll be able to remember. So definitely take notes, something that you're going to want to look back on and reflect upon. And let me know if you have any questions along the way. Just type them in the chat box and I'll try to get to them. And if not, I can always email you after the webinar as well. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So what makes this different than any other webinar? I promise you, I am not going to be selling you anything today. Nothing is for sale. So it's just good, helpful content that will transform you from a college athlete to a marketable young professional asset. And that I promise. Stick around because at the end of this, you will have a clear sight on which way you should take the next steps and how you should go about landing a job that will make you happy. Also, I will be giving everybody that stays to the end a free guide that it has all of my tricks and tips on for how college athletes can get hired and what they should be doing to put themselves in the best position possible. Who am I? My name again is Ryan Drummond, highly sought after recruiter and job coach. Provided recruitment consulting services to some of the largest banks over the past decade. And I've had a successful career working as a vice president of talent acquisition for one of the largest investment banks in the world. Helped thousands of clients posture themselves in the market and have critiqued countless resumes. Yes, I've looked at so many resumes and I do so every day. And I've helped hundreds of people into jobs that they really love. Most recently, over the past few years, I developed a new niche for helping college athletes find their career calling. I look to transform the natural raw talents that collegiate athletes have into marketable young prospects and connect them to my network of clients to help them get jobs. During my playing days, I was a high school All-American lacrosse player, and I went on to be a 3-year starting defensive player / co-captain at the University of Delaware men's lacrosse. And I since have worked with several guys, several college athletes, come to talk to them as groups from a motivational perspective, but also one-on-one consulting in terms of helping them find their true passion, and then, like I said, connecting them into jobs. I love what I do right now, and it's taken me a while to get there. But let me tell you a true story about myself. This picture was taken after my first game, or sorry, after my last game of college sports, and I knew I wanted to make money and live independently. I wanted to live in New York City and have all these great things for myself, but I had no idea what I wanted to do from how to get really from A to B. I spent so much time in my college days um, trying to make sure that I secured my position on the field as a starting defensive player, and making sure that I had met the GPA requirements to make sure that I could play. And I spent so much time between class and practice in my sport that I just didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the future and what I was really interested in, and creating a plan and creating a foundation of context that would help me get to the next step. So as a result, after I graduated, I lived with my parents for a long time, and I was just talking to whoever I could talk to, waiting for a job to just fall in my lap. Eventually, I through a family connection knew somebody who got me an internship, and I got the job. And after interning there for 6 months, they offered me a full-time job, and I took it just because it was a job, but it wasn't something that aligned with what I wanted to do. So I spent those first few years of my 20s jumping from job to job, getting into credit card debt, not loving what I was doing, constantly questioning myself. And so I really wish I had the chance to experience this webinar today when I was this guy, back in this picture. So I'm warning you now, you're at this stage of your life where you couldn't do so many different things. And there are dangerous consequences for making the wrong choices. As I mentioned before, we're at risk. College athletes are at risk right when they graduate, because their whole self identity is thrown off. You're no longer a college athlete, and now you need to look to what your next step is. What are you going to be next? And there's so many different directions and places that you can go, and if it's not well thought out, you can find yourself in a little bit of trouble, especially from the point of just not being happy. So ask yourself these questions. I mean, do you feel that you're not being considered for jobs right now because you have a low GPA? I mean, are you worried because you don't have any job prospects and you feel like nothing's going to start to happen for you? Do you feel like the major you selected does not provide a direct path into the job that you want? Are you afraid that you will be living with your parents for way too long? I know that was a fear of mine when I graduated. You feel like nothing tangible is coming your way. And are you scared that you spent so much time with your sport and with your classes that you neglected to take the time to think about your future? And now that it's so rapidly coming and you're kind of freaking out because you don't know what you want to do, and you want to continue being a winner, not a loser. I got awesome news for you. Okay. If any of these feel like you, none of those are the real problem. Okay. The real problem is that you haven't yet made 5 essential shifts, mental shifts, and I'm going to teach you those today. So more on these shifts in just a minute, but what you need to know is that when you understand these, when you make these shifts, they are keys that will open doors. Okay. They're going to open doors, and it's going to provide you with more job options, more job offers, a larger network that you can call your own, not your parents or your brother or your sister or your cousin. They're going to be your networks when you make these shifts. And when you make these shifts, you're actually going to have employers search for you rather than you going to them. You can, through automation and leverage in your personal marketing, so you can spend less time looking for a job and more time learning your market. These are things that we're going to talk about today. Ultimately, you want to maximize your time so you have complete control over who you work with and what you'll be doing afterwards. So these shifts will provide a clear path to being able to afford living on your own independently. Okay, you'll have an enormous leg up on other entry-level candidates if you go through what we're going to talk about and you go through these mental shifts. Most importantly, you'll be content and fulfilled in the career that you decide to take, not just whatever comes your way. It's going to be a match because you're going to choose it, and you're going to clearly figure out what is right for you. You won't waste time in your 20s just jumping from job to job like I did in my early 20s. What you need to know is that the 5 keys are mental upgrades from where you are right now. that you need to make in order to know which industry sector you will enjoy the most, what type of company you want, and will put yourself in a position where companies are making you offers. So we're going to uncover the 5 keys that you need to understand in order to land an awesome job. There's 2 approaches to getting an awesome, or 2 approaches that you can take to getting a job. One, you can do what we're going to kind of map out and talk about now, intelligently take the right steps and plot it out and make sure that you're going in the right direction to land the right job. Or you can kind of sit back and let your friends or contacts introduce you to people and just be on this path of this escalator where you are unable to get off the path, and then you finally land a job and it falls apart because it's not what you were really meant to be doing. Let's take the first mental shift, okay? Right now, be thankful that you finished 4 years of college as an athlete. That's really impressive. And employers know that. Only 7% of high school athletes go on to play at the college level, right? Play sport in college. And only 2% of those high school athletes go to play on it at the Division I level. So know that you're unique. You're a rare breed. And it's something that's very sought after. Most importantly, as an athlete, you likely learned incredible time management skills that gave you the ability to reach deadlines despite being exhausted. I know this sounds familiar to any college athlete that had a late night practice, has to do the weight room in the morning, and you need to figure out a time to get your classwork done because you have an assignment due or a test the next morning at 9 a.m. And when are you going to do it? So you learned how to manage that, and through that you've had to conquer these different types of challenges on a daily basis, yearly basis, 4 years in a row. So you're conditioned and trained unlike other students have been. And another thing that employers love is that you obviously know how to work well in a group because you've had teammates, right? And if you agree with this, just let me know now. I'd love to hear your thoughts if there's anything else that makes you stand out as an athlete. But here's the thing, guys. Now you need to retire as a college athlete. Like mentally, in your mind, write your retirement letter or actually physically write it out because that part of your life is over with. A lot of us want to hold on to that because it's the glory days. You don't want to let it go. But the faster you shift your self-identity from athlete to young professional, the better off you'll be. And know that you're going to transfer your best traits as an athlete into your next life, and that's what's going to make you very marketable. Once you adjust your self-identity, it's time to really question your next direction. I spend a lot of time with my clients with this, where I really question, why do you want to do that? What is it about that makes you think that that's the best move for you or it's going to make you happy? You really want to drive down to that. Ask yourself, like, what do you consider the awesome job? Like if you had to map that out and you were to write a descriptive paragraph about the day in the life of your perfect job 5 years from now, what would that paragraph look like? Are you pulling out of a garage? Are you driving to the train? Are you taking the subway? Are you working with a group of people? Or are you analyzing and then presenting in front of a boardroom? What does it look like for you? Are you outside? Are you inside? Are you making sales or are you analyzing? These are the types of things you really need to figure out and question. You picked a major and you have probably some idea of what you want to do. Why do you want to do that? Is that really the awesome job for you? Does it fit your true interests, or is it just what your family or friends or culture perceive as successful? I mean, is the job that's laid out in front of you right now really the perfect fit for you? You got to make your list. While you're in this mode of what's the job I should take and you haven't locked anything down, make a love-hate list. What do you love to do? What do you hate to do? And there's a mobile app that we'll talk about later where you can keep track of this throughout, your day. You sit down and write what you love and what you hate. But I think more importantly is throughout your day, you're going to notice things that generally make you happy and generally frustrate you. It's important to identify those so that once you've identified your favorites and your dislikes, you can compare your list to this job that you perceive as awesome. How do you do that though? It's like really easy for me to say, but now in the coming slides, we're going to talk about why you want to do this and how you can go about doing it. But just know this, after you talk to people, talk to alumni, talk to friends that are in this industry that have this job that you do perceive as awesome, and you ask them about what they do on a day-to-day basis. Know no, if it doesn't add up, you just got to keep exploring. Definitely talk to your alumni, and in your early 20s, know that it's okay and it's a perfect time for you to just go on this exploration. Also know that I'm 35 years old, and I'm most of my friends that are working professionals, which is like all of them that are my age. Most of them are in an industry that did not align with the major that they studied in college. So don't feel that you need to go that route just because you studied 4 years there. Take the time to figure it out now. And why is this so important for you to figure out at this stage in your life? Because we're college athletes, which means that we have the drive to will our way to success. But job success doesn't equal happiness. Ken McCarthy has a great quote. There are a million ways to make money. So in reality, making money is not the issue. The real issue is making money in a way that fits with who you are, what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, what you do easily that no one else can do. And that's what you got to figure out now. Understand the laws of cause and effect. You can touch one path. You want to map it out. And imagine that you could pick your life's quickest path to professional happiness and fulfillment. The quickest way would be the one on the right, the straight line. But there are paths that if you touch, that if you go into the wrong industry, you're going to end up spiraling into misery. And then there's the other path that you'll eventually maybe get there, but it's going to take you the long way, you know? So all these are all right but if you want to reach that place of happiness the fastest, and so that you can early on identify the career that works best for you, that's where you're going to get ahead of everybody else, because while everybody else is still figuring out, you're becoming more and more of a professional, more and more of a subject matter expert in the industry that you know aligns best with yourself. Now, say you go down a path where you just take the first job that comes your way. The longer you excel, right, you're going to do well down that wrong path because, like we said, you're an athlete. You're gonna figure it out. You're going to get more security. You're going to get promotions. You're going to get financial raises. You're going to receive all these things, and you think that's a good thing, right? Well, it's not necessarily, because the problem is that it will get harder and harder for you to leave, to move to something that you truly enjoy, especially when you add kids and marriage and a house and all these other things that you need a level of security to be able to maintain. And the byproduct of this is that you're going to become miserable, and misery can be ugly, and it can show itself in so many different ways. Weight gain, cheating, drinking, drugs, sleepless nights, constantly judging others, anger towards loved ones. I'm not saying that this is going to happen to you, but I'm saying that if you don't take the steps to really figure it out, they can happen to you. And I don't want to see that, because you work so hard. You work so hard as a college athlete. You deserve everything, uh, and mostly to be happy. And so, just as a snapshot, we're going to go over some of these, but these are like the 5 keys to landing an awesome job. And truly, an awesome job is one where you're happy. So you question what makes you happy, then you decide your right path and you follow that path. Once you find out which industry you think is a good fit, listen to the market, and I'm going to show you how you can actually do that, how you can pull out certain content that you can absorb so that you have a better understanding of what the market's looking for. We're going to talk about that specifically. So there's actual tactics to understanding what the market's looking for and being able to be fluent in that industry's lingo, just like you would be fluent in a language. And then you want to be able to position yourself so that companies are attracted to talk to you. And that's an art. And we're going to talk about that also in this webinar. You're going to start to find alumni and outside professionals that are outside of your alumni network that can help you get to a job. Well, you need to establish the common ground, and we're going to go over how you can do that. And then it's having the right conversations with as many of these people as possible. You'll see this slide one more time at the end just to nail it home, but this is what we're going to go over. This is the real meat. Now, the bulk of this session is on networking, and here's why, right? 80% of job openings are not even advertised, okay? People don't post them. They know that they need them. The budget's there, but they're just not known to the public. And 70% are found through networking. So networking is crucial. When you look at most successful people, high net worth individuals that are successful and happy, they have a very strong network. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I strongly encourage you to get one. And I'm going to show you a little bit how to use LinkedIn. When you do join LinkedIn, search for my name, Ryan Drummond, and connect with me. All of a sudden, you'll have thousands of secondary connections, which is really important when using some of the other tools that we're going to talk about. Make sure you are setting your profile up correctly. If you don't have a job, you want people to know that you're a college athlete because that's unique, right? But you also want them to know what you're looking to do. The headline and the last name are the most prized real estate on your profile because when you pop up in searches, that information's seen without having to click into your profile. Here's some examples of what you can say. I recommend you mention something about being a college athlete. All right, so you may just want to write those down. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know if that makes sense, okay? Because this is actually really important. I'm going to show you a little bit more. Now, when you edit this, when you edit your name, it goes first name, there's a section for, and then there's last name. I don't remember what the amount of characters are, but you have a limited amount of characters where if you don't have a very long last name, you could do comma and then say what you're looking for. So here I said seeking sales position. You can do here, you can say college athlete looking for position as medical device sales, something like that, so that pops up during your search criteria, okay? You also want to make sure that when you say that you're looking for the sales as a function, right? A domain is a type of, or industry and domain are important to know too, if you're a little bit more specific. So medical device would be a type of domain within that industry. So you want to list the industry that you're looking to go into. And then in your summary, have a short descriptive summary that shows a little bit of your personality and what you've accomplished as a college athlete and what you're looking for. I always think that if you do have classes or internships that are worth noting, you want to bullet point those underneath your paragraph. Have somebody proofread it before you post it out to the world, and make sure you add your relevant skills and attributes that you gained as a college athlete. All right, here is something that you're not going to probably come across anywhere else. So there's a really cool third-party application. It's actually a plugin for LinkedIn. And so you download it. I believe there's a free version or a free trial. And if you're looking for a job, you want to connect with as many people as possible. You just want to get in front of the right people, right? So autopilot for LinkedIn is what you'll Google. Autopilot for LinkedIn. You can see up here in the upper left-hand corner. And it provides this little black bar up top. So what you do is when you go into your LinkedIn, click on advanced, okay? Click on advanced, and that's going to be, that's what that's saying is we're going to run an advanced search for a certain type of person. And in this instance, we're going to say, let's go with the medical device. You're looking for sales in medical device, right? Now remember, on your profile before, you put medical device right here, excuse me, right underneath your company, and you said seeking sales. So that's what's going to show. Now, what the autopilot for LinkedIn, what this does is that it allows you to filter out the type of person that you want to have see your profile. So you're going to type in campus recruiter, right? Or even recruiter. You can always switch this up day by day. Select secondary connections and first connections and group members, right? Select the right industry that you want to go into. So we put medical device. And then hit search. Hit search, and then you want to click up here. Yes, auto visit these profiles. Why is this important to do? Because this machine now, this algorithm will run over all the people that fit into that search criteria, and they'll then get an email that says, or on their homepage, people have been looking at your profile, and so they're going to want to see who's been looking at my profile. And then you'll pop up and it'll show what you're looking to do. And because these are campus recruiters, A, they're going to be on LinkedIn because of the nature of their business being a recruiter, but B, they're actually the ones that are trying to bring in talent into their organization and at the entry-level position. So this is just a great way to kind of put the initial part of your search on autopilot. And in a future slide, I'm going to talk about the power of 4, making 4 contacts to relevant people. This is a good way to get one of those 4, meaning it takes it takes 4 times for your message to really resonate and sink in. This is a good way to get in front of people once. All right. You'll hear me talk about this a lot. You obviously want to leverage your alumni. Okay, you went to school, you have that common ground with somebody, and especially with alumni athletes that played your sport, that's just a great place to connect. So on the homepage, click network. You can scroll down to the bottom. It says find alumni, and you can actually switch the school. You can filter down. So it's going to actually look. I'm going to show you this one. So it's going to show you different areas that you can filter. So if you want to just see people in New York City that are in sales and studied the same major as you, let's say marketing, you can do that. And now you have 3 different aspects of common areas. What I say up here on the left, search for commonalities in your background. So the more areas that you have in common with an individual, the better the contact, the more likely they are to take the time to respond to you. So areas that you can look for common ground, or you played the same sport in college, you played the same sport in high school, you went to the same school, you have the same industry area of interest, and you're living in the same location. So if you combine all those are great contacts to add to your list of people that you want to kind of reach out to on a every week or every other week basis to see if they can help you out. So this is how you can search for people with your school. And you could also change the university. So, you can search for alumni and then find people that are in the same city that played the same sport. And that's another thing that you can do. All right, so we talked about that. You want to leverage your alumni network. Most alumni want to help a younger generation that reminds them of themselves, which is why it's so great with using your sport. Now, the athletebook.com did a recent study where they surveyed alumni from a Division I sports team, and they asked them, would you be open to giving an informational interview to a current player on the team? And 76% said yes. There was I think there was another 10% that said not now, but maybe later, and the rest said no. So the stats are in your favor that these people want to talk to you is if you have that common ground. All right. Ask yourself, find out, does your sports team have their own LinkedIn group? Okay. And if they don't, be the one to start it. This is what I did when LinkedIn first came out. I started the University of Delaware Men's Lacrosse Alumni Group. We now have 204 members. All of these members are attached to me. I mean, because I'm the one who approves them or disapproves them. I can speak to any one of them that I want. So goldmine opportunity. If it's not already started, you can be the one to start it. And I would say also do the same thing on Facebook as well. So look for groups. And again, I would also do that for your high school groups as well, and then contact people via the group as well. So, all right. Here's some rules for when contacting alumni or any seasoned professional. Remember, everybody's busy, so don't be lengthy in your message, and don't take it personally if they don't respond to you. Don't ask if you can pick their brain. It just being on the receiving end of that comment really just irks a lot of people. And then also, when you're networking, don't just come right out and ask for a job. Okay, that's like, the analogy I was going to say is not really PG, but you get the point, right? You want to work up to that. On the first date, you want to ask a girl or a guy to marry them. It would totally freak them out. Okay, and if you ask an alumni on the first time you contact them for a job, they're gonna run away from you. Also, if you have that lengthy message, they're going to see you as like a time suck, and you don't want to be seen as a time suck. No, you just want to state the common areas that you have so that we're from the same tribe. And then you want to ask them a general question about their industry to start and encourage a rally, a dialogue. And so, like if you're playing ping pong, the slamming of the ping pong ball would kill the rally, and that slamming of the ping pong ball in this instance would have a long message or asking for something that they just like, I don't even know you. So just something to consider. Also, sometimes the best route is to actually try to get somebody else to introduce you. Okay. That is another good way. Sometimes the perception is a little bit better if somebody's making the introduction on your behalf. it's a number game, guys. Okay, so be consistent. You got to do it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, especially while you're in that job searching mode. Um, while you're in the job hunt mode, keep track. Okay, you got to keep track so contacts don't fall through the cracks. And people will be impressed if you follow up consistently in the right way where you're not being a stalker. All right, so keep track and follow back up. Here's on the one way that you can follow up on the bottom. If you keep like just an ongoing Excel sheet, and of course there's all these kinds of fancy tools, but an Excel sheet works just fine. The power of four. Remember when I was saying this before? My wife actually told me this. I was going into a big meeting, and before I was huffing, saying, you know, I've already talked to them about this so many times. I just can't believe they're having me come back. My wife's like, Ryan, it takes 4 times for your message to actually sink in. Okay. So keep that in the back of the mind when you are looking to build a relationship. Okay. Get the 4 touches in different areas. Now, don't do this all at once, obviously. Um, take your time with it, but you can contact people on LinkedIn, text message. I'd be a little sensitive about, feel the situation out. Follow them on Twitter. Comment on something that they wrote on. Maybe if they wrote a blog, make a comment, or if they mentioned something on LinkedIn, you want to make a comment. Make introductions. That's a great way. Once you finally establish a contact with them, if the second time or the third time their interaction with you is that you're making an introduction to somebody that they would deem as helpful in their career, you look great. So much better than trying to ask for something. I make it a point to make introductions in my career. Again, I coming from a recruiter's background, so my network is my livelihood, right? So I try to make a helpful introduction at least once a day and thoughtful, one that makes sense, where both sides, where they're even in status, and they can both benefit from having known one another. And if they do both benefit, what do they have in common? They both valued from knowing me, which is a plus. Okay. List on the left, list the common areas once you start to track this. Try to make your first week, okay, I'm going to make 20 I'm going to make 20 contacts that I'm going to try to reach out to over the next month. And all of those 20 are going to have at least 3 areas of in common with myself. And then send them a message, follow them on Twitter. Maybe the next week or the week after, you shoot them a LinkedIn message reminding them of a common area. You shoot them an email. You don't do it all at once. Like you said, don't want to be a stalker, but keep track of it. This stuff works. I'm telling you, it sounds so basic, but it's the people that do it versus don't do it that actually see the benefits. So the next thing, know the market lingo. Okay, once you understand the industry that you're going into, I promise you, you'll be embarrassed if you don't take the time to figure out who are the key players or who's in the industry, what industry news is going on. Get to a point where not only do you know what's happening, but you could actually take a stance and you have a position on what's happening within your market. Okay. The number one best way to find out what's happening in the market is to reach out with people and say, hey, I'm really interested in getting involved in your industry. I want to know more than I do now. I would love it. I'm not going to ask you for a job or anything. I just love it if we can talk for like 5-10 minutes, because I have some questions and I'd love to just understand a little bit more about what you do, because I love to follow in your footsteps. Something like that. Ask them one question. Oh, sorry, a little typo here, but you'll get a better response by admitting your ignorance so long as you show genuine interest. So similar to what I just was explaining. Read at least one piece of industry news a day. LinkedIn influencers is a great spot to find find people that are that are always talking on the hot topics within your industry. Maybe good to follow one of those people on LinkedIn. Okay, here's a key thing that you can do to understand the market lingo. Identify times during your day, walking to class, walking the dog, going to the grocery store, on the treadmill at the gym, whatever it is. Identify these on the move times during your daily routine to listen to industry podcasts. Ditch the music for now and pick up some podcasts, okay? Because then you're hearing 1 or 2 professionals discuss the topics, and that's how you're going to get to a point where you have a position on what's going on, and you can be more respected and not get embarrassed during an interview or when you go out to drinks with your colleagues for the first time. All right, positioning yourself. These are my favorite web tools to help you position yourself as somebody that's a hot commodity in the market. So we talked about LinkedIn, what to do with your profile. Twitter, follow people and companies that you want to work for. Okay, it's a great way to just get involved, join the conversation once you have some news. Matter of fact, if you're listening to podcasts, you could take what you learned in the podcast and tweet at a company or tweet at a person. That's a great way to kind of be involved in the conversation and cut the corners a little bit on maybe knowing a little bit more than, or looking like you know a little more than you actually do. There are student athlete specific job fairs. See if your school has one. If they do, obviously you'll know about it and you go to it, right? Talk to as many people as possible, find out as much information as you can. The other thing is that you can, a little typo here, but to stand out, take a road trip to another school that is doing a student athletic specific job fair. That's one way to stand out. Picture this, guys. Tell me if this makes sense. Just hit me in the chat box. Picture this. You're going to a job fair. Everybody there is from, let's say, Rutgers, right? You're from a neighboring school, and every single company there that's there to talk to employers is assuming that you're from Rutgers. And when you tell them you're from another school, but it was so important to you that to come and meet with a representative from their their company, it's going to resonate with them. Those employers will remember you. So something to consider. All right. Indeed, Career Builder, and Monster. Now, these sites, you can post your resume to a job. Everybody knows about the job boards, right? As a recruiter that's worked on the corporate side of the house, I will tell you that it's so hard to stand out. I mean, if it's a popular general job description, there could be over 300, 500 applicants that apply to the job. So don't think of it, sure, apply. You may get a call for an interview, but don't think of it that way. Think of these sites as a way to listen to what the market wants. I'm going to say that again. Think of these sites as a way to listen to what the market wants. If you read a job description, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them a day, you're going to understand the types of positions that are out there that fit you, but you'll also you'll pick up what these companies are looking for, and you'll understand the gaps that you have in your own experience that you need to strengthen. So that's what I say about these job sites. They're great. You can post, but just learn from the market, because that's like a great source of who's hiring and for what. Okay, there's a new site out there. It's called theathletebook.com. I think that this has a lot of promise, and it's getting better and better. So what's cool about the Athlete Book is that it's a career site specifically for student athletes and companies that want to hire athletes and alumni that used to play sports that are now, in their professional career. The nice part about it, which you can see down at these pictures below, these are different profile cards from the Athlete Book, and you can see you can post your resume, so it's searchable. You can put any kind of social footprints you want to show off. So your LinkedIn page, maybe you were on YouTube for your sport. You can put all those types of things. If you're an engineer, maybe GitHub. But the cool thing that you can put up a video introduction or an audio introduction of yourself, just saying, hey, this is who I am. I'm a senior. I'm looking to get into financial services. I'd really love to get into wealth management. I'm looking for a job in New York, and I'm really interested in talking to anybody that it might be interested in bringing in entry-level, hardworking former college athlete. Please give me a call. You can leave your contact information, and when a company runs a search, if their search terms align with any keywords in your profile, you can also list your classes on the back, your major, all that stuff. You'll pop up in their search, and it's like you're at a job fair 24/7. So it's great for athletes, because when you're at the gym or you're in class or you're asleep or you're at practice, you're still marketing yourself. So definitely something to check out, and it's completely free for student athletes. So fantastic. All right. I talked about podcasts a lot. My favorite mobile app to use is Stitcher. So Stitcher is a iPhone or Android. You can search by industry, by person, and all the podcasts that have that will pop up. Depending on if you send in the chat box the type of industry you're looking for, I might be able to suggest a particular podcast that you want to look at. But you can also just search on Stitcher and maybe you'll find something, and then you just add it to your favorites and you listen to it. It'll pop up when it's a new episode's up, and you just listen while you're on the treadmill or walking the dog. All right, Evernote. Everything that you find in these, things to your contact list, or terms in a job description that you don't understand, or an article, you can add it to Evernote so you could always search and index your notes, find, always have every kind of resource. It's like your mobile brain in your pocket. So I absolutely love Evernote, and I know a lot of my friends and other work colleagues also use it. LinkedIn influencer, we mentioned, read a blog a day. That's a great way to find somebody that's in your industry. Google Alerts. I love Google Alerts. You should use it. If there's a particular type of industry that you want to go into, you can go in, just go to Google, search Google Alerts, set up alerts. I think you have to have a Gmail email to do it. And then every day, as that industry, as those terms pop up in anywhere on the web, it'll send you the article and you can read it right there. So that's a really easy way to read an article a day if you don't want to go to LinkedIn. DigiPill it's actually a guided meditation app. So I use this for just mental health, mental clarity, to stay focused and just to cleanse my mind. And DigiPill it's a mobile app, and each pill, like quote unquote pill, is actually a guided meditation. And though I use one that's concentration. I listen to it when I mountain bike and before I go to bed, maybe 3 or 4 days a week. And after a month of doing this, like, no hocus pocus, I'm telling you, I've just been so much more productive than I normally am, because I think it hits you at the subconscious level. Give it a try. I think it's worth it. There's a relaxation one that's for free, and then I think you can buy the concentration guided meditation for $2. The guy's got a really interesting voice, and some people like it, others don't, but definitely worth a try, and it's helped me in my life. So give it a shot. All right, so 5 keys. Ready? Question the market. Listen to the market. Remember how we said, how do you listen to the market? Read a blog a day, listen to the podcast, read job descriptions, because the market's going to tell you what it wants. And then once you know what it wants, you'll know how to position yourself in the industry using the tools that I taught you. And you're going to come across people and contacts, and you're going to have to find the common ground and then start as many conversations as possible. Okay, does that make a little bit more sense? So over the next week, month, and year, focus on building a strong foundation. What happens is, when you don't do these types of things on a regular basis, these networking things, you have a weak foundation. And then when you do need to fall on your network, it's not there for you. It's just not strong because you didn't put the time into it. So all of a sudden, maybe you do find the perfect job, but then their company does a layoff and you're back to square one, and you didn't take the time to sow that field of networks, and you just don't have it. So, and remember this, just being connected on LinkedIn does not mean that they are a contact. They're not a real relationship unless you take the time to cultivate that relationship. And that's important. So, I like to think about this. This is one way I've built my network, is every time I think of one of my old friends or old work colleagues that I used to work with, I shoot them a text or an email, and I say, hey, I was just thinking of you, which people love to hear, right? Everybody wants to feel like they're being thought about. I was just thinking about you. Remember the time when, I don't know, Sally came in and she had, toilet paper on her shoe from the bathroom, and we just laughed hysterically. Anyway, what are you up to? Love to talk. Let me know if you're in town. We should catch up soon. And, that's just so easy. Or, what are you doing now? I noticed that you're at XYZ, Bank of America. Talk to me about, do you like it? You dislike it? When you think of people, let them know that you're thinking of them. Guys, when you nail this, okay, companies, contacts, job opportunities will come to you. That's a promise. You have the traits of an athlete to build a strong foundation. So why not do it? Okay? When you nail this, you eliminate the maze of uncertainty, and you have a clear path to a happy future. Okay? Imagine your future self in a place of complete confidence. You have market knowledge at your fingertips, a strong foundation of contacts, and you are well positioned in your industry of choice. You control your career path and you can cherry pick the best options. It's a beautiful place to be. Okay. So now you do have a choice to make. I want to know how I can help you. And I've set aside time in the next week to speak to you personally about how you can apply these strategies to your job search. It costs absolutely nothing. But who is this for? And this is important. You must be absolutely 100% committed to your success and to hitting your goal of being happily employed no matter what by following the system that I outlined for you today. And getting a job and being independent has to be your number one priority. And if not, then this is not for you. Don't call. Don't click on the link that I'm about to give you. On the call, we'll dial in on your core interests, your core goals, and help you get absolute clarity on what's holding you back from being employed fast. And you'll get an exact strategy to make it happen. Now, if you want me to help you, and I think it's a good fit, right? I have to feel like I actually can help you from my advice, from your personality, from taking advantage of my network. We may invite you to become one of the new clients that we're taking on, and we're not taking on a lot because you can only manage so many. And if we do work together, we'll walk you through the program that I designed to get you a job within less than 8 weeks. So if you're interested, click below. Spaces are very limited, but click below. And I really hope that this does work out because I cannot wait to meet with you one-on-one. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me in the chat box and I will definitely get back to you. Have a great day. Take care.